been about 10 years since we met. I came to Moscow. You taught me how to drink vodka like a Russian, and you also taught me how to be properly paranoid about internet security. So thank you.
Okay, yeah. I'm still a little bit paranoid about this, what's going on. And for the 10 years since that, the many things have changed. So the cyber threats, they came to the industrial environment, to the Internet of Things. So now we have more work than before.
Indeed. I mean, it's gone from being people trying to hack you to people trying to hack everything, right?
Yeah, well, actually, that's right. So they are now, the Internet of Things are under the SCADA systems. Actually, that's, yeah. The cyber technology, cyber is everywhere. So actually, we depend on that. And sometimes we don't really understand how much we depend on cyber. But that's reality.
I mean, you can't see the Kaspersky logo running in the corner of my laptop, but it runs on my laptop, on my iPhone, on every computer in my house. It's kind of like, thank you. I mean, you taught me how to be properly paranoid. I mean, I am Jewish and I am South African, so we are very good at being paranoid all by ourselves, but thank you for the help. So this is a different age, though. We're in an age of suddenly people are working from home, aren't we? And the real issue around that is that people just don't have the same security or the same security consciousness at home that they do at the office.
Yes and no. Of course, it's a challenge for IT and IT security departments, especially in the big organizations, how to move employees home and guarantee the same level of security. And actually, what we did in our company, well, we were very lucky that we made the decision to get ready for working from home in early March, and then there was necessary to move our employees later. When in Moscow there was, and in Russia was announcement about this self-isolation, we were ready for that. And actually now our employees, they have at home, they have a corporate standard of security. So they have the VPN, they have the VPN tokens, they have at least 2 factors authentication. So actually they are at home, but their devices are protected the same way as they were in the office inside the perimeter. So actually it's possible, technically it's possible to guarantee same level of security as in the office, but that's more expensive, it's more hard to do.
What is cybersecurity in the age of coronavirus look like? Do people have to be more paranoid? Do they have to download security software at home as much as at work?
Yes, unfortunately, we see that cybercrime is more active right now. Well, actually, there's almost nothing changed for cybercrime because they were working from home, making crime from home, and they're still making crime from home. Well, actually, we were waiting for increase of cybercrime activities, and actually, we have the statistics right now, and actually, somewhere in the mid-March. The cybercrime started to behave very, very actively, much more active than before. For example, we collect a huge amount of malicious code from the internet daily. And we see it's about 10% increase of the new malicious code. So cyber criminals now, they develop malicious code 10 times more than before. Oh, sorry, 10% more than before. And in some categories, for example, how the bad guys, they send spam, phishing emails in some categories, and in some regions, we see that it's increased by 10 times. So we see some categories of the bad data, the malicious data, is 10 times more than before this the epidemics.
I suppose it's useful for the cyber criminals that there aren't good quality VPNs and firewalls, and that most small businesses don't think about cybersecurity and don't think about the cost of it, and haven't prepared for it, and that's gonna ultimately cost those businesses.
Unfortunately, you are right. when the big organizations, the enterprises, they're better prepared for this situation, so they have more resources to guarantee necessary level of security for the employees at home, or their many employees, they were already ready for working from home. So I guess that the big organizations, they were better prepared. Small businesses, unfortunately, you are right. They know less about IT. They don't have dedicated IT security departments. So that's unfortunately the cybercrime. Now they have more victims, more potential victims in the area. Yes, you're right.
Indeed, and I suppose, Eugene, part of the problem is the shift to mobile. So many people, and let's speak specifically about Africa and South Africa, they don't have desktop or laptop computers. They all use mobile. And a lot of them, I mean, everyone I speak to just doesn't know to download virus software, security software to their mobile phones. So there's, like 1 billion people in Africa. There are about 500,000 smartphones. They are unprotected.
So unfortunately, they are easy victims because, well, I don't have at the moment. I don't have statistics, so it's our web page, that's for sure. Still, of course, the situation with cybercrime for computers is more aggressive than with the smartphones, but still, it's still like this. But the number of attacks on the smartphones, especially Android, the most popular operating system, is growing very fast. So that's almost the same like as computers. So the cyber criminals, and I think, by the way, I think it's demographic. So the old generation of cyber criminals, they are more active with computers, and a new generation of criminals which were born in mobile era. I don't know. I don't have this data. I just guess it.
I know. It never occurred to me too. But of course, that's whatever technology you grew up with, that's what you're comfortable with.
Yes,
Old people with gray hair like you and I, we like to keep the youth of the world want thumbs. So maybe that's where the shift is coming from. It's an interesting idea.
Yes, so I don't have the answer of the data, just a guess. Yes, okay, yeah.
No, I agree with you. There's no data to it, but it's a good assumption. It's people use the technology they know, don't they?
Yes, they're sure.
Yeah. And Eugene, just in general, I mean, the nature of cybersecurity has changed. If you don't mind just giving us a bit of a retrospective. So just remind us, in the very early days, it was all about showing off your skills. Then it became about, embarrassing big companies. Then people thought, hang on, I can make some money. And now to the point where so many of the anti-Hillary Facebook groups, the clickbait websites, they had nothing to do with politics. It was all about money. We live in a different world.
So evolution of cybercrime and cyber threats, it started somewhere at the end of 80s when the very first computer viruses, they were written for MS-DOS operating system. Well, actually, the malicious code existed before that. The very first computer virus was written for Mac, by the way. Mac 2, as far as I remember, Apple II.
Apple II?
Apple II, yes.
Yeah.
There was some prototype of computer viruses for the mainframes, but that was not serious at all. And the number of computer viruses started to grow in the late 80s and in 90s. Actually, that time there was no cybercrime at all because there was not so much money in the internet. The online payments, they didn't exist. Online banking didn't exist. So the computer viruses, they were written just by vandals, hooligans, just for fun, to display some funny picture at some particular date or erase the hard drive content for something. Just to prove they are able to develop this kind of the code, self-replicating, the artificial life code. Well, there were some criminal cases reported that time, but they were made by engineers which were developing banking software for some particular banks. They injected the logical bombs, and they were stealing money from banks by inserting this functionality in the code. But there was just very, very rare cases. And all that changed in early 2000 When first of all there was internet money, they were invented and introduced. There was first was e-gold, web money systems, and then the virus writers, they recognized that it's possible to earn money by hacking the victims. And then there was online banking was introduced, and that was the beginning of the cybercrime story. And the hooligans, the vandals, which were writing computer viruses in the past, they migrated to cybercrime, or they just stopped that. By the way, starting from some mid 2000, we don't see many vandals malware, just which is written for fun. I think the reason of that is there are computer games, online computer games. So the people which were proving themselves writing the code, now they play games online. Yes. So that. I think I don't have the hard data about this. I just thinking about the reasons why it happened. So cybercrime came in early 2000, and that was well, actually very massive load of cybercriminal malware. And actually that time we recognized that working like in the past when we were analyzing computer viruses code, the malicious code manually, so we were looking through the every sample of the malware. It's not possible anymore because it's more and more data we need to analyze. So that time we decided to develop automatic systems to analyze the code. And actually that was a very right decision. Now we analyze about 99.999% of incoming data automatically. All that changed as well when the first mobile virus was found, and that was the new era of not just computer viruses but mobile viruses. And later there were viruses, the malware, the network worms developed for security cameras as well. So that was IoT was attacked. So actually that was well, the fact that the malicious code is spreading to the different platforms. 2010, that was the shock for everyone except experts. The Stuxnet, the first state-sponsored tool to attack physical systems, to attack their SCADA system. So Stuxnet was the first known attack on a physical infrastructure. So now we're living in a world of malware which hit different platforms, including industrial system and Internet of Things. We're living in a world where I don't know how many, 10, 100,000 of criminals, they are working from home and very active. We're living in times that, plus to the traditional cybercrime, we see the very highly professional hackers gangs, which are able to hack even very well protected enterprises. And plus to that, there are many state-sponsored espionage campaigns. So actually that's comparing the situation now and say when it was like somewhere in the 90s. In the 90s there was just a little bit chilly and a little wind. Now we are living in times of the cyberstorm.
Yeah.
Comparing the solutions which we have to protect our customers, to protect the victims of the cybercrime, of all the cyber threats. It's like in the 90s we had bicycles. Now we have the plane. Now we have the space shuttle. So the technology is very, very different. Yeah. But the good news is, well, actually, these are very, very high load from the cybercrime and the state-sponsored actors. But the good news is that we are able to protect the strategy for different types of the threats. So actually, there are three types of the threats. There are massive cybercrime, which is not too much professional, but it's very massive. There are targeted attacks, both state-sponsored professional attacks and highly professional, highly sophisticated criminal attacks, and attacks on Internet of Things and infrastructure. So for the first types of threats, that's endpoint security. So just the cybersecurity is a protection to guarantee the security for enterprises which are facing also the targeted attacks. It's kind of cyber defense. So plus to the traditional endpoint security, we have to have the detection product detection technologies to recognize that you are under attack. So it's both endpoint and network security, and we call it cyber defense. And for industrial sector, Internet of Things, we see that the very right solution is to change the architecture of the cyber systems and to design it with a new immune operating system, and we call it cyber immunity. So we have this operating system with a limited functionality. It's good enough for Internet of Things or for SCADA systems, and we can guarantee that this is unhackable. Or well, the criminals, the bad guys, they'll have no profit from hacking these systems.
So here's the question, Eugene. What should people do to keep themselves safe whilst working from home?
To stay safe working from home, first of all, you have to switch your mind on and keep it on all the time. Don't trust everyone in the network. If you don't click every link, if you receive email from unknown person, be very careful. Don't click the links. Don't open the attached files. Even if you receive the unexpected email from someone you know, call back and ask, is it true that is really the person sent this email? So switch your mind on and keep it on all the time. Second, protect all your devices with reliable security solutions. To connect to your office environment or to connect to the internet, better to use VPN to guarantee that no one is listening. And also use at least two-factor authentication. And I think, and have more sport at home.
Yeah. Eugene, you've been around in the cybersecurity industry from the very early days, and it's changed from a cottage industry to a vast criminal empire. I mean, the new mafia, the new cyber wars in the world are all being fought here. It's like the script of a Hollywood movie, isn't it?
Yes, actually, what we see that now the cyber gangs, they are much more professional than before. And well, from the very beginning, they were just individuals. Then there were groups of the criminals, a few of them in the gang. Then we were watching that, we saw that they are independent criminal individuals or groups of criminal hackers, which do different job. For example, there were hackers which were developing malware, but they didn't use it, so they didn't infect victims, and they were trading this malware to others. They infected computers, but they didn't use the fact of the networks are infected. They were trading access to the infected networks. So it's like an added value chain. So it's kind of the criminal industry in the internet. And there are many of them, they don't know each other. So they are cooperating without knowing who is on the other side of the connection. Now they are much more professional than before. So now they're able to hack very well protected enterprises. Also the hackers, many of them, they're available. So they're mercenaries. They will do the job if you pay. So they hack the victim which you point your finger on. So now it's like a mafia. Yes, it's a gang. There were some very funny cases. How big they are. There was a case. Then there was 80 criminals arrested at the same time from the same gang.
80.
There were 80 hackers working in the same gang. There were a very curious story when the criminals, they had an office and they had a company, they paid taxes. and it was in Moscow. So there was a company, the movie distribution company, and they have a license for movie distribution, and they did it. So they had an office in Moscow City. So the half of the company, they were movie distributors, and the second half of the company, they were hackers. And they were coming to the office like ordinary people coming to the office. So they are becoming very smart, very professional. Sometimes they behave like ordinary companies. So now it's the situation with cybercrime is much more complicated than before.
So is this the, Eugene, is this the future? I know we've only got a couple of minutes left. Is this the future? People are not going to get a job in a store or a factory or a company. They're going to learn digital skills. And then the same way the mafia would get people to do small jobs, go ask for the payment check, go deliver this bottle of booze during prohibition. Is this the future of crime, do you think?
I think I hope the future of crime and cybercrime, they will be much more under the control, because now we're introducing the immune system, which is unhackable for Internet of Things and the industrial sector. But I think the same ideas, the same architecture can be introduced, not now because it's not ready right now, but in the future can be introduced to the other systems as well, like smartphones. So the cyber criminals, they have a much less abilities, much less profit. So they will disappear as dinosaurs in the past. I hope so. And I think that in the future, I think that the most necessary jobs will be not the cybercrime, they will not the job which exist, the engineers. Because the half of the work will well, maybe everything will be automatic. So the production, the agriculture, everything will be automatic. So the high demand on engineers. So if we go this way, like we go now, in the future, there will be just 3 jobs left: engineers, teachers, and journalists.
You and I are safe. You know, I'm the son of an architect, so I've always dealt with engineers, and I believe engineers are the last true believers in physics. Like they believe in physics. Can I ask you, what does the future of war look like? Are we looking at state actors hacking each other? Wired magazine ran an amazing story about what happened in Ukraine, hacking the power grid. I mean, is that the future? Is it really that kind of Hollywood?
Unfortunately, I think the same way. Unfortunately, well, we are lucky that there are not many such attacks are happening, but there are more and more reports coming from the different industries. So the fact is, it's why I was speaking about the industrial attacks on SCADA systems. Most of the industrial systems, most of the infrastructure and critical infrastructure depends on cyber. So there's a SCADA, the cyber systems which manage all that. And the reality is they're getting more and more connected to the internet. Of course, there are firewalls, of course, there are some perimeters, but anyway, professional hackers, they can reach the computers which manage their critical infrastructure. So that's a reality, that they are connected and they are vulnerable. So the worst case scenario is when the professional hackers are paid to attack the infrastructure. And this is the worst case scenario. And that's, well, this is the answer for the question, what wakes me up at night.
Eugene, thank you. This has been a fantastic interview. Really, really fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice bookshelf, by the way, from someone who reads a lot of books and has a love of bookshelves. Good bookshelf.
Yes.
I love Tintin Rockets.
I saw it, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good health and stay safe. Bye.
Oh, listen, also, thanks for the vodka drinking trick.
Okay.
Take the shooter, breathe out. Best trick ever.
Yes. Okay.
Stay well. Cheers.